Okay, so this is a chess match I played. I played yesterday on chess.com. This was a blitz match, 5 minutes. I was playing black. So he started with the king pawn opening. I did the Sicilian. Knight to c3, knight to c6, knight to f3, pawn to d6. He pins my knight with the bishop. I pin his knight with my bishop. He decides to go for it. I take it. Then he tries to get rid of my bishop. That's putting the knight in the pin. I decided to keep the pressure on. Keep that knight where it is. So I put my bishop on h5. He moves his queen. Not exactly sure what he was trying to do with this move, but at this point I develop my knight, attacking the pawn on e4. And then he decides to go for castling. So at this point I know that this knight is pinned, and I know that he would probably try to go for something like this. Put the pawn down on g4 and try to push away my bishop. So I was kind of expecting that, but knowing that this knight is pinned meant that these squares are available for me to use basically, because I have this queen under attack. So I decided to push the pawn. I tried to be a little bit creative, try doing something that's outside of the box. So I pushed the pawn. He gets out of the pin. So I keep pushing. I decided that if he does decide to take my pawn, I will recapture it with the knight. I will develop my rook and create some kind of attack on the king side. So he backs away. He didn't want to retake that. So I developed my rook. At which point he decides to open up his bishop line. Perhaps looking to block away my bishop vision. So I just developed my rook more, because the idea here for me was I wanted to do this. I wanted to attack his queen and develop another piece. So that was my plan. So he decides to bring another knight for defense. So I just open up the line for my queen. Maybe at some point get to these squares. So yeah. Then he moved his knight. And that's when I decided to attack the queen. The queen now has to go somewhere else. She can't stay here, here, or here. So she's gonna have to move. So she moves. Then I decide to retake a pawn, because if he decides to take my bishop or take my other bishop, I will take his queen, kingside pawn and attack a rook. So I'm taking away 2 key pawns from his position, and I'm creating some pressure. At some point I can move my king and bring over my queen and another rook, and helping me with attack. So I was willing to let this one of these bishops go. At which point he did take. So I recaptured with my pawn. He takes it with the pawn, with the king. I take his bishop. He takes my bishop. I take his knight. He brings the rook over to defense. I bring my rook over. And at this point, I decide to activate my queen. So these 2 squares is possible venues for the, well, the knight only has one venue to go to this point. But he decides to bring the queen in, which is fairly good, because you kind of want that piece to be active, not sitting around somewhere on the sideline. So I decided to protect my rook by putting some pressure on this knight and then directly attacking the rook. So he decides to move out of the pin. I took the knight because I have this key right here. As soon as he takes it, I can recapture with my knight by attacking the queen, and and his rook. So he takes, I attack, and I do the fork, at which point he moves. I take his rook, he attacks me, I move out of the way, he takes my rook, which is fine. And now I have a queen and a knight, putting some checks on the king. There's only a couple of options here for him. Go here, go here. Well, he actually does make that. If he goes here, I would do something like this. And if he gets out of the way, I'll take the rook. But he makes the move to go here. At which point I bring my queen in, a little bit closer, because I want to attack this pawn. And he gave me a check. And did not want to take either one of these pawns. He decided to bring his queen back for defense, because my queen and my knight are a little too close, which is fine. And then I pick this square right here, which is very safe. It will take several moves for this queen to even put me in check. It will take me at least 2 moves to do something with it for me. So I'm in a very safe spot right now, and my queen and my knight are in excellent position. So he brings the queen. I take the pawn, check. He moves the king. I bring the king, the knight in. He opens up another square for himself. And at this point I was thinking, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to checkmate this guy? I can't. I mean, I could exchange queens, but do I really want that when he's got a rook over my knight? So I decided that I have an advantage right now with my kingside pawn. It's got an open rank, open file, and I have 2 major pieces protecting that pawn. And if he was decide to push, I have some pawns stopping them in the way. So I figured I'll just push. But first I had to reposition my knight, because he's under threat is to take care with the queen. I put him in a checkmate. So he's got to do something. So off he goes. At this point, let's push the pawns. He brings the queen back. I take my knight back. He brings the rook in, and then I push my pawn again. And this was a timed match. He was under pressure. I had a lot more time than he did. So the king moves away, gets away from this pin just in case. And this was my last move. I brought the queen in, attacking the rook, forcing the rook to move. And at this point he lost the match because he ran out of time. But I kind of liked this game for myself. I felt very good about it because of this one move right here. It was a bit of a gamble. I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna use the advantage that I have with this knight pin and see what I can do with it. And eventually it worked out. And I felt like he was a strong player for me, and I got this win. He was thinking about the position a lot because he was taking his time. We were both ranked about the same, and he was fairly smart in his decision making. Like this example right here, when he didn't take the pawns because he wanted to defend his king, which he did in the meantime. He managed to accomplish what he wanted to do. But eventually I won the game positionally, I think, and I won on time. So I was pretty happy with this result. Thanks for watching.